You know that feeling, right? That moment when you're maybe wrestling with some baffling instructions for, I don't know, a new gadget, or maybe you're trying to deal with something really complex like tax forms. And this little thought just creeps in, hang on, did everyone else get some kind of secret instruction booklet for life? Because I definitely didn't get one. At that point, you realize, yeah, life doesn't exactly come with an IKEA guide for putting together a fulfilling existence. We're all just, well, figuring it out as we go, mostly, with varying degrees of grace, maybe. Well, today, we're diving into a book that tries to give us something like that missing manual, but thankfully without needing a PhD in yourself first. We're exploring Andreas Metzen's How to Live Skillfully, your crash course in Cognizant Life Art. And our mission here is to unpack his ideas, these sort of transformative concepts, guiding you, hopefully, from just reacting to all the chaos life throws at you to becoming a more intentional, more aware artist of your own existence. Okay, so let's really dig into this.
Because Metzen kicks things off by validating a feeling I think a lot of us know really well. That feeling of being kind of a passenger in your own life. Maybe white-knuckling it sometimes as things swerve unexpectedly, or just having an inner world that feels like a total jumble.
Yeah.
Like a toddler's playroom after way too much sugar.
Yeah.
That sense of just lurching from one thing to the next, not really feeling in the driver's seat.
Exactly. And this is right where Metzen introduces what he calls his first a really powerful realization. It's that challenges are not a you problem, they're a life problem. Now, intellectually, we might kind of nod along, right? Yeah, life's hard. But Metzen really points out how deep that instinct runs to personalize every struggle. We immediately think, why me? What did I do wrong? His insight isn't just saying, hey, difficulties happen, they're unavoidable, standard equipment like, gravity. The real depth in his framework is how it helps us interrupt their really primal, self-blaming, why me wiring. It's about shifting gears, moving from seeing problems as somehow your fault, a personal failing, to recognizing them as just, well, universal parts of being human. And when you truly internalize that simple reframe, it empowers you. You stop feeling singled out and start asking a much more useful question. Okay, this is happening, it's a thing, now what? What skillful response can I actually make here?
That's a really key distinction, isn't it? Moving past just knowing it to actually feeling it, acting from that place. But then Metzen goes even deeper with something I found, honestly, even more challenging. He suggests that your inner world is often the co-author, and sometimes the lead dramatist, of your misery. So yeah, okay, external stuff happens, curveballs get thrown, a sudden job loss, a relationship issue, big global uncertainty, that stuff is real. But what Metzen argues is that a huge chunk of our suffering around these events, it doesn't just come from the events themselves, it comes from our internal operating system. Think of it like a computer running buggy code.
Yeah.
Unexamined beliefs we have, biases we don't even know are there, reactive emotional habits that just fire off automatically. And when that internal code is flawed, even a small bump in the road can feel like you're trying to, I don't know, run a marathon carrying a backpack full of rocks. It just makes everything harder.
It really does. And this is precisely where Metzen offers the really hopeful turning point. Good news, you can rewrite some of that buggy code. And he's not just talking metaphorically here about some vague mindset shift. No, he actually delves into the cognitive biases, the neural pathways that literally form these unskillful patterns. He suggests that with, focused awareness, clear intention, and consistent practice, and that practice part is key, we can actively debug and rewrite these internal programs. It's about moving from being sort of a puppet of our unconscious programming
Right.
to becoming a more mindful programmer of our own responses. And that's the core promise of Cognizant Life Art, understanding how we tick inside deeply, cultivating more skillful ways of being, and really reducing the suffering we, often without realizing it, inflict on ourselves.
Okay, so if that's the setup, the problem, and the promise,
Mm-hmm.
what is this cognizant life art in practice? What are the primary colors, the essential ingredients we need to start crafting this more authentic, more resilient life?
Well, Metzen describes it as this transformative journey inward, and it's built on cultivating three core internal qualities. Think of them less like separate virtues and more like interconnected gears in a single operating system for living skillfully. They're insight, integrity, and awareness.
Insight, integrity, awareness. Okay.
Let's start with insight. Now, you might just think insight means understanding something or having one of those aha moments, but Metzen pushes it deeper. He defines it as the illuminating ability to see with profound clarity. It's really about looking beyond the surface, beyond the immediate problem or the emotional reaction, to recognize the underlying patterns, the unspoken needs, the sort of invisible threads that connect our experiences and relationships. He uses this great analogy of Alara, the seasoned gardener. Her success isn't just about knowing plants, it's this intuitive, almost bodily understanding of her garden's whole ecosystem, its interconnectedness. It lets her anticipate problems, nurture growth from a really deep, holistic place. It's that ability Proust talked about, seeing with new eyes, where confusion starts to dissolve and you get a deeper, clearer grasp of reality just as it is.
Seeing with new eyes. I like that. Okay, so that's insight. What about integrity?
Right, integrity. We often link integrity just with honesty, and yeah, that's definitely a part of it. But for Metzen, integrity is more foundational. It's the unwavering bedrock of self-trust, authenticity, and ethical strength. It means making sure your actions, your words, and your deepest intentions all line up harmoniously with your core values. And here's the crucial bit. It's about maintaining that alignment even when it's hard or when nobody's looking.
Oh, okay.
Think about finding a wallet on the street. Most people would return it, right? It's the right thing to do. But integrity, in Metzen's view, means that actually reinforces your own self-respect. It builds this internal sense of wholeness, congruence, whether anyone knows about it or not. It's about becoming whole, undivided inside, where your inner compass just consistently points true north.
Okay, that resonates. So insight, integrity, and the third was awareness.
Yes, awareness. Now, you're probably familiar with mindfulness. Metzen's concept of awareness builds on that. He presents it as this dynamic, moment-to-moment art of being fully present. It involves cultivating a mind that's both focused and open, attuned. So being keenly aware of your inner state, your thoughts popping up, emotions as they're felt, physical sensations, but also being perceptive of what's happening around you in your external environment. But the real power here, the skill that Metzen emphasizes, is developing the capacity to respond to all of this, inside and out, thoughtfully, intentionally, rather than just reacting on autopilot. It's that conscious pause, that little space before the automatic reaction kicks in.
So these three, insight, integrity, and awareness, they aren't just separate things to click. It sounds like they're really interdependent, like parts of a more sophisticated internal system. Are they?
Yeah.
Like muscles you can train.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. Metzen really stresses they aren't fixed personality traits you either have or you don't. They are dynamic qualities, just like muscles, that you can intentionally develop and strengthen. It takes consistent practice, self-reflection, and when you cultivate them together, they don't just add a little bit here and there to your life skills. They actually fundamentally change how you experience and engage with the world. They become this foundational operating system for navigating complexity.
That makes total sense. Okay, so those are the primary colors, the foundation.
Yeah.
What about the brushes, the canvas, the actual techniques? Does Metzen give us a practical toolkit to actually start painting our lives more skillfully?
Oh, absolutely. That's really the focus of the second part of the book. He introduces what he calls the Cognizant Life Artist's Toolkit. Think of it like the Home Depot, or maybe a hidden treasure chest of inner gadgets. It contains 5 core competencies that build directly on insight, integrity, and awareness, turning those qualities into really actionable skills. These are awareness, yes, again, but we dive deeper: wisdom, authenticity, resilience, and engagement.
Okay, 5 tools. Let's break them down. Awareness first again.
Yeah, awareness revisited, but framed here as the, wait, what just happened? Superpower. It's moving beyond just noticing to understanding the mechanisms of your own mind. Self-awareness specifically, he compares to having a surprisingly reliable weather app, but for your own mind and emotions.
I could use one of those.
Right. If you can spot that a frustration storm is brewing inside, you can prepare, you can respond better, manage it constructively, maybe stop it from completely derailing your day or blowing up an interaction. And a practical way he suggests honing this beyond just meditation is people watching with purpose.
Okay, not creepily, I hope.
No, definitely not creepily. Just next time you're in a public space, gently observe interactions. Notice body language, tone, the dynamics between people. Not to judge, just to expand your own observational muscles beyond your internal world.
Interesting. Okay, number 2.
Second is wisdom. So, if awareness is about seeing clearly, wisdom is the art of choosing skillfully based on that clear seeing. Metzen argues it's less about having all the answers and much more about asking better, deeper questions. It's why he says life is more like 3D chess than checkers. You have to consider all these interconnected variables, long-term consequences.
Right, not just the next move.
Exactly. It leads to more sustainable solutions. And for tricky ethical choices, he offers a practical tip: the front page test, but simplified for today. Before you do something questionable, ask yourself, Would I be okay if this action, with my name attached, went viral online?
Oof. Yeah, that's a good gut check.
If the thought makes you squirm, it's a strong signal to pause, reflect, reconsider.
Definitely. Okay, third.
Third, authenticity. Now, this isn't an excuse to be blunt or hurtful, saying, I'm just being real. No. Metzen defines it as the courage and the skill to be your genuine self, to live and act in line with your deepest values. It's an active, ongoing process of knowing yourself and honoring that self, and it's fueled by integrity and transparency. It builds deep self-respect and also trust with others. A really powerful practical tip here is to identify your non-negotiables. Actually take some time, reflect. What are your absolute core values? What lines will you simply not cross no matter the pressure or the situation? Knowing these clearly beforehand gives you immense inner strength.
Knowing your lines, got it.
Fourth is resilience. This is that dynamic ability to navigate life's inevitable stressors, the setbacks, the disappointments effectively. It's about learning, adapting, growing from challenges, and crucially, maintaining your well-being despite them. Think of a willow tree in a storm. It bends, it sways, might lose some leaves, but it doesn't snap. It adapts.
Being bounce backable.
It's exactly, bounce backable. Metzen emphasizes cultivating a growth mindset here, that core belief that your abilities aren't fixed, they can be developed through dedication. And a simple but really powerful tip, add yet to your inner critic's vocabulary. When you catch yourself thinking, I can't do this, consciously tack on the word yet, I can't do this yet, completely transforms a dead end into an open path, inviting learning and possibility.
I like that. Yet. Simple but powerful. Okay, and the final tool.
And finally, number 5 is engagement. This is about turning your attention outward. It's your skill in connecting meaningfully with other people, as much as we might sometimes daydream about being a hermit. Metzen reminds us, look, humans are fundamentally wired for connection. Our well-being, our sense of belonging, it's deeply tied to the quality of our relationships. So engagement is about building trust, communicating with compassion, nurturing supportive bonds. And a great practical tip to elevate your engagement is to offer a specific helping hand. Instead of the vague, hey, let me know if you need anything, which, let's be honest, usually gets a polite, thanks, I will, but nothing happens.
Right, it puts the burden on them.
Exactly. Instead, offer something concrete. I'm running to the store later. Can I grab anything for you? Or how about I bring over dinner for your family tomorrow night? Specific offers are much easier to accept, and they foster real, genuine connection.
You know, what's really striking as you list these is how interconnected they all are. Like effective engagement. It clearly relies heavily on awareness, wisdom, authenticity, and resilience. It's not just a random collection of skills, is it? It's like a synergistic toolkit. And Metzen doesn't just leave these as abstract concepts, right? He shows how they actually work in everyday life, leading to what he calls the lemonade mindset, which I assume is about engaging skillfully with life's lemons, those challenges, those setbacks, instead of just, defaulting to our usual unhelpful reactions.
Precisely, because too often when life throws us a lemon, our brains automatically fall back into these patterns that honestly just make things worse. They amplify our suffering. Metzen points out some common ones to watch for. There's the catastrophizer, who turns a small issue into an absolute disaster movie in their head.
Oh, I know that one.
Then the blame gamer, whose first instinct is always, whose fault is this? Hint, never theirs. There's the ostrich, who just ignores problems, hoping they'll magically disappear.
It doesn't work, usually.
Rarely. Then the ruminator, whose mind just replays the problem over and over and over like a broken record. And finally, the why me victim mindset, which just leaves you feeling helpless and stuck. Just recognizing these usual suspects when they show up in your own thinking is the crucial first step. It gives you the chance to say, there you are, and consciously choose not to let them run the whole show.
Okay, can you walk us through one of the real-world examples from the book? How does this Cognizant Life Art actually play out? Maybe that friendship challenge you mentioned.
Absolutely. Let's take the example of Sarah and Liam. Sarah finds herself feeling really overwhelmed because her friend Liam is constantly venting to her. It's genuinely draining her energy, affecting her sleep even. Now, a less aware approach might lead Sarah to just build resentment silently, maybe become passive-aggressive, or even just abruptly cut Liam off, which would obviously cause hurt. Metzen's approach for Sarah starts with her pausing and engaging in internal reflection. Her self-awareness allows her to notice her own feelings rising, the exhaustion, the resentment, maybe some guilt too. She acknowledges that, her intention is to be a good, loyal friend that aligns with her integrity, but she also sees that the way things are going right now isn't sustainable for her own well-being. That's her insight, recognizing the impact this is having on her system. So she shifts her intention. It's not just be there for Liam. It becomes be there for Liam in a way that's both supportive for him and sustainable for me.
Okay, that's a key shift.
It is. Next, Sarah engages with empathy, authenticity, and clear communication. She picks a calm time, not when Liam's mid-crisis call. She might say something like, Liam, look, I care about you so much, and I know things are really tough for you right now, and I want to be here for you. And using that "and" is important. And I've noticed that our recent chats have been very focused on the challenges, and while I really want to listen, I'm finding myself feeling pretty depleted afterwards. And that actually makes it harder for me to be the supportive friend I want to be long term. See how she's being authentic, sharing her feelings and needs respectfully, using skillful communication, those I statements. Then she might propose something constructive, showing wisdom. I'm wondering if we could maybe think about how I can best support you going forward. Perhaps we could schedule shorter, more focused chats sometimes, or maybe make sure we also spend some time talking about other things too. Then she really listens to his response, using her awareness, and she uses her resilience to manage her own discomfort if maybe he gets a bit defensive, gently but firmly holding her boundary. The potential outcome here. Liam might be surprised initially, but ultimately he might appreciate her honesty and clarity. And the friendship actually has a chance to become healthier, more balanced for both of them.
Wow, yeah. That's a really powerful illustration of how all those pieces, awareness, integrity, skillful communication, weave together in a real situation. What about navigating a more personal setback? Like that injury example. How do the principles apply there?
Right, let's look at David's marathon injury. David's trained super hard for months. It's his big goal. But then, bam, 2 weeks before the race, an unexpected minor injury happens, and the doctor says, nope, you really shouldn't run. Naturally, David is devastated. A less aware response, maybe spiraling into negativity, beating himself up, blaming something or someone, maybe even ignoring the doctor's advice and running anyway, risking worse injury. But David, applying Cognizant Life Art, first pauses and acknowledges his intense emotions. He lets himself actually feel the disappointment, the frustration, maybe anger, sadness. He doesn't try to stuff it down or immediately slap on a fake positive thinking face. That's his self-awareness and emotional agility, being with the difficult feelings without letting them totally take over.
Allowing the feelings, not being swamped by them.
Right. Exactly. Next, he reflects with insight and a growth mindset. He has to acknowledge the reality. Okay, I cannot run this specific marathon right now. Fighting that fact will just create more suffering. That's wisdom and acceptance. Then he consciously shifts his perspective. Instead of, this is a total failure, he asks himself, using that growth mindset. Okay, what can I learn here? Was my training maybe too intense? Do I need to learn more about injury prevention? What strengths did I build during all this training discipline? Perseverance, better fitness that I can still value and take forward. That's resilience and his growth mindset kicking in. He might also reflect on his core value around running. Was it only about finishing this one race? Or was it about health, discipline, the sheer joy of movement? That connects back to authenticity, aligning with his deeper values.
Seeing the bigger picture.
Precisely. David then engages with this new perspective. He actively reframes. Maybe he decides to channel his energy into proper recovery, learn about physical therapy. Maybe he even decides to still go to the Marathon City, but cheers on other runners, finding joy in the community. He proceeds by taking constructive action based on this new plan, focusing on rehab, practicing self-compassion for the disappointment. The outcome. Yeah, the initial disappointment is still real, but David navigates it with way less self-inflicted suffering. By applying insight, acceptance, a growth mindset, he turns the setback into a valuable learning opportunity, leading him to a wiser, more sustainable approach to his fitness long term.
You know, what I'm really taking away from all this is that Metzen's How to Live Skillfully, it isn't about these huge grand gestures or expecting some kind of single monumental transformation overnight. It feels much more like a practical, really actionable roadmap for what is essentially a lifelong journey of becoming this cognizant life artist.
That's exactly it. The real power, the real transformation lies in the consistency, the regularity, the sincerity with which you apply these ideas and practices. It's the small, conscious efforts done with genuine intention day after day that compound over time and create really significant positive shifts. And crucially, it's not about achieving some perfect distant state of, uninterrupted bliss or completely error-free living. That's not the goal, and frankly, it's not realistic. There will absolutely be days when you feel really connected, really aware, insightful, and there will be days when old habits pop back up, when stress makes you reactive, when you say or do something impulsive. That's completely normal. That's human.
That's actually quite reassuring.
It is. Think about the Japanese aesthetic concept of wabi-sabi. It's about finding beauty in things that are imperfect, impermanent, incomplete. Like a cracked teacup that's been lovingly repaired, it can be seen as even more beautiful because of its history, its imperfection. That's such a wonderfully humane way to approach your own journey with cognizant life art. You'll have days you feel like you're totally nailing it, and days you feel like that bewildered toddler again. Both are okay. Both are valid parts of this rich human process. The goal isn't to somehow eliminate all your rough edges or sand down all your imperfections. It's more about learning to work with your full humanity, your quirks, your vulnerabilities, your strengths, your shadows, with ever increasing awareness, skill, kindness, and importantly, self-compassion. And please, let's not forget that humor is a superpower here too. Life is often deeply absurd, and learning to laugh gently at its curveballs and at ourselves is so vital for keeping perspective and staying buoyant.
That's such a freeing thought, isn't it? That this journey of becoming a cognizant life artist is ongoing, it's evolving, it's deeply human, and it actually embraces imperfection rather than striving for some impossible flawlessness. It's not about being perfect, just about continually engaging with curiosity and intention. Metzen really shows us that the journey, well, it starts and can joyfully continue right now. So as you reflect on this deep dive, maybe ask yourself, what conscious choice, however small, will you make to bring just a little more skill, a little more awareness into your life, starting perhaps in this very moment?